Welcome back. Now, as promised, Ian is going to be showing us some new tech in the next segment of gaming gear, and this time it's going to be the Elite Motion Controller. Let's go take a look.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of Gaming Gear. Today we got some awesome tech for you. Stay tuned to see what's coming up. Now today, we got a Leap Motion Controller for you. And to see what this thing is capable of, check this out. Now, if after watching the trailer you still have questions as to what this thing is actually capable of, or what is it about, then I recommend thinking about all those times you watch science fiction and you saw people interacting with computers and cool screens by just waving their hands in front of them. Well, this thing is pretty much exactly just that. It allows you to use your computer or laptop or the software that comes with it by just waving your hands in the air and interacting with it by nothing but just kind of waving them around in the air. It's exactly what this is, and it's really cool. Okay, so now that we saw what's inside the box, let's see what the hardware is all about. The hardware this time is actually very simple. We have a little rectangle looking thing that has plastic back, and I think that's aluminum on the sides, but other than that, it's very simple. You have the micro USB slot connection on the on other sides. You have the power LED in there. And then here you have the actual surface that has the cameras and LED light. Now, the advertised frame rate for this is actually over 200 FPS, which is quite astonishing. Now, when I started using it, the frame rate sometimes it dropped to about 70 or 80, but that's still very fast. And in terms of latency, I did not feel like there was any latency. For example, if you are used to interacting with Kinect sensor on Xbox, even the new one, the Xbox One, you do sometimes feel a little bit of a delay between what you're doing, especially in dance games. This device is a lot more responsive. Obviously, it's not tracking your whole living room and has a lot less things to worry about, so that's probably why, but in terms of actual responsiveness, is absolutely great. Now, when it comes to the software part of it, that's pretty much what makes or breaks the product. In this case, the software is pretty impressive. Now, it does not have huge support, but it does have its own app store called the Airspace. The apps in there, they range from being free to your typical iTunes, 99 cents or a couple dollars. But the apps are interesting, and generally they separate in three big categories. The first category, obviously, being gaming. Now, this device has quite a few games to try out, and a lot of those games are quite fun. Some, as I said, are tech demo. But the game that I particularly enjoyed is the one that I actually already played on iOS called The Vertigus, that's promoted by Stan Lee. And with this device, this game is actually, it's quite simple. You're essentially falling through atmosphere and eventually going towards the center of our Earth as a superhero, and you can upgrade your suit and do all kinds of fun things. But with this device, your hand becomes the superhero in terms of, you're going up and down, left and right. And in my opinion, it actually makes the game easier. But, that could be a benefit because it also makes the game more fun when the controller becomes a lot more intuitive. It's one of those, I guess, rare things with this controller is that it's actually very intuitive to play that game, and that's maybe why it's fun. So if you have a chance, definitely check it out. The other category of applications that this device uses is creativity. So this can be anything from music applications that allow you to increase, decrease volume with your hand motion, to free-form creation. So we're talking something like sculpturing and creating 3D forms using your hands. Some of them are intuitive in terms of, if you're using, for example, Google Earth, where you can pan around the globe and you can zoom in by moving your hand up and down. But some things are rather not really intuitive in terms of if you want to select something, you're pointing towards the screen, or some applications, if you want to select something, you're pointing away from the screen. So in reference to the controller, you're pointing up and down. So it takes some time to get used to, but it's something that's just part of the device. It's got a little bit of a learning curve. The other part of the applications are what the developers call exploring, or what I perhaps would like to call it educational. These are actually, in my opinion, the coolest apps because, for example, think about being able to have a 3D skull in front of you or a 3D model of any insect or animal that you're looking at, or some kind of body part like a heart, for example, or the brain, and being able to interact with it by just using your hands, by zooming in, taking away parts of it and putting parts back into it. So that is a very cool way to learn, and the possibilities of this in school is actually huge. And as far as I know, these guys are already being used in some pilot projects in some of the schools in the States. Now, when it comes to the good sides about it is it's very responsive, it's very fast. So again, it's faster than Kinect, and it's faster than any motion sensor you've probably ever used. So that's really great. The other good point about it is the actual price makes it affordable. It's only $79.99, and it's available at Best Buy or Future Shop if you're in Canada, as well as the online store. So it's accessible, and it's pretty fun to use, and it's a great little device. Another thing that this awesome little device is potentially going to bring to us in the future is that these guys have signed a couple of partnership deals with ASUS and HP. So as some of you know, obviously, these guys make a lot of laptops and computer hardware. So if we can actually start seeing laptops with Leap motion devices, obviously maybe not this size, but some kind of mini version of it integrated in our laptops, that's going to do exactly what I'm talking about, where we're going to have a touchpad, a keyboard, and potentially this somewhere in the laptop, allowing us to do things that we didn't even think of before. We could even do with a laptop, making the interaction a lot more fun and intuitive, something that just using this as a controller isn't exactly happening. But maybe in the combination, it'll be really fun and interesting to use. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, the negative part about this device is that, let's say if you're using it for 2 to 3 hours and you're using it, like this, you're definitely going to be tired. The second part that's kind of, bad in my opinion, is the fact that this doesn't have a lot of developer support. And while if you go to the App Store, today you're seeing 150 plus different applications, that's still not enough, to warrant everyday use. If you were to buy a brand new, innovative mouse, you probably still have more applications, because it's still a mouse. But because of how novel this thing is, there's a limited pool of applications that, will be usable by this. So for the final verdict for this device, I would say that this is definitely a really fun toy to use. But as far as it becoming a practical device in your everyday, interaction with your computer and the software that you use, I don't think it's going to replace everything you have right now, or at least not at this point. Developers need to do some work. We hope you enjoyed this Gaming Gear segment. If you have any questions or suggestions, hit us up on our Facebook page. My name is Ian Murkowski, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Sir Ian, for that fantastic segment. That controller actually looks really great. I'm going to have to check it out myself. Now, coming up after the break, you guys are not going to want to go anywhere. We have Matthew Doucette here in studio to chat with us about indie game development, speedruns, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned.